My name is Keith Kruger. I'm a game developer, an artist, a consultant, and a teacher, and I've created this tutorial for you. This is using Adobe Mixamo Fuse CC Preview Edition with Unreal Engine 4.11. In this tutorial, we're going to cover how to create a character with Adobe Fuse CC Preview Edition. We're going to import the character into Unreal Engine 4.11, alter the materials to make the character look their best, and then import and apply a Mixamo animation to our character to make it come to life. Additionally, we're going to show how to retarget skeletons to use a non-Mixamo animation with your Mixamo character. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? So, this is the Fuse CC interface. We can make this a little bigger here. And you've got different parts for assembly here, heads, torsos, legs, and so on, which we'll be using. You can search for parts, although there aren't so many parts at this point that it's worth searching. You can alter the angles you're looking at things. This is rotation tools, targeting tools, and such. You have a mesh deform, which we'll come back to. There's just not a lot of clutter to the interface because it's really focused on doing just this one thing. So let's get started. Let's just dive right in, and we will create just a generic woman that we can use for a game. Now they have these ones that they used to have called the Fit series, which of course they still have, and they have ones that are scans, and the scans have more realistic imperfections in the skins and such. They have it for male and female. As you can see, they have a zombie, brute styles, toon styles, and you can do stuff with these, but you're kind of limited unless you learn how to make your own and import them in. And we won't be covering that in this video, but it is something that you're capable of doing if you want to take the time to learn it. So let's go ahead and let's just choose our female scan 2. And you'll see it pop up there. As you go straight into customizations and all that now, I prefer to do all the assembly first. Now there's some interesting stuff when you do scans. So it pops the scan that's related to it up first, although you could choose a different one. So let's go to female scan 5. And what can happen is that if you have parts that don't quite match, I mean, obviously there's a difference if, let's say, we take the male scan legs and we throw on here. But if you have similar parts that don't match, you'll get this banding effect, which isn't an issue if you're putting clothes on, but let's say you're going to put them on a swimsuit or a dress or something else, you have to be aware that that's going to happen. It doesn't blend things together very well. Let's change those legs. Let's just go with a different set. Let's try scan 2. Does it do it? Nope. Scan 2 is okay. And for the arms, let's go with female scan 6 and just see what happens. So there you go. Noticeably much paler than the rest of the upper part of the body there, but it still works. It tries its best to blend them. So we've got a character, and we can go through now and we can start making changes. Now, of course, there are some things that you can do. Right now, this is in what's called modest mode. Modest being that it puts underwear on them. For those who don't like to deal with nudity, you can turn that off. It's just a switch in settings. So if you were to go to File, Edit and Preferences, modest mode, so you could turn that on and off. But I'm not going to bother with that. It doesn't bother me since I'm going to be putting clothes on her anyway. And now once you've got everything in place, you can go to Customize. And here you can start to alter the properties of this character. So for instance, if we wanted to make her arms larger, you can You don't actually have to click on them. You can still just choose things over here, but clicking sometimes makes it easier to see. You can, for instance, make her biceps larger or smaller. If I scale that up and down, you can see the biceps going up and down. I can make her arms longer or shorter. And I'm not going to walk through all of these in this tutorial. You know, if you have your hands on the software, which is currently free in their preview at the time that I am recording this, you can get it and play with it yourself. But it's pretty straightforward. Use the sliders to adjust settings, and it morphs the characteristics of the body to fit. You can do it for the face. In this particular panel, you can change the facial expression. So we can make her really goofy, or awkward, or angry, and you can mix and match multiple versions of it. So here we have a angry, cocky, happy woman, and that's what it figures that would look like. Now again, you can use these controls to do stuff. So right now the panning control is on, rotation control, that recenters it in the field. That's just for selecting specific parts. So again, it changes the region based upon what I have clicked. So, you know, we could give her really large feet if we wanted to, or really long feet, short feet, long feet, and so on. Nothing terribly exciting. Again, you're just going to play around with the settings that you want for your character. Now, one thing that is new in this particular version, besides the scanned versions, is partially its ability to select like this and have it go directly to the part for the active region. But the other is this. Let's go here, and you can go to here, and it's a mesh deformer. And so what it's really going to do is we can turn down the hardness and the size a little bit. We can make it symmetrical so it applies to both sides. What we can do is we can start using this to scale things. So you see it's actually pulling those elements. Now, I'll be honest, unless you're making an inhuman character or you have lots of control, I don't quite see the point of this. But I suppose if you're making bad characters for a game or something, it might come in handy. But ultimately, you can't get too far out of whack. It won't let you do it. So we'll reset that. It'll go back to how it was. And you're all done with that. And of course, you can apply that to everything. You can do that on the face as well. So we could give her horns for a devil type character if we wanted to. And so for little things like that, it works. Again, I don't know that you would use it for much, but I'm going to go ahead and reset that. And let's go ahead and give her some clothes. I'm going to take out the cocky look, angry look, and happy look. We'll just put her back to a nice normal, well, not normal, but generic state. We'll turn this off as well. Okay. So, if we click on clothing now, you have different elements of clothing. And of course, these are all predefined. And if you want to download the content creation kit, which you can do, let's see, is it here? Yes, it's here. Download content creator package. It will take you to the web page where you can do that. That'll give you some tools to create your own clothing and so on. This uses Substance. So if you're familiar with Substance Painter or Substance Creator, you're in good shape. You use the Substance to do the clothes, so you can use Substance to create your own textures and looks and so on. That I will actually explore in another video. I'm not going to do that in this one. But let's go ahead and let's give her some clothes. So for a top, what should we do? Let's give her a leather jacket with a T. For her pants, let's... what do I want to give her? Give her some cargo shorts. You can give her shoes. You can choose all sorts of things here. And if you haven't used Fuse before, you might be going, well, what's the point? I'm going to be stuck with these looks. Everyone's going to have these looks. Again, from the standpoint of the basic modeling of the clothing, that is true. If you don't create your own clothing models to bring in here to apply, then yeah, you're going to have the same structure of clothing, but you'll be able to make changes, and I'll show you some of those changes. Let's give her some hair. Of course, hair is just like clothing. It's just something you apply. Right now she's got this really short cut. I'll show you how we can actually turn that off in a second. Let's give her a bob for the heck of it. Let's say, no, we don't want the bob. Let's undo that. I'm going to show you really quick. So you have this hair. And in textures, if you came over here and you clicked on the head, you can actually change hair here as well. So here we go. Hair short, buzzed. If you're going to give her hair, I would just go ahead and put none on there. Then we can go back to clothing and all the hair choices. And we could try something else. So we could give her some dreadlocks. Or a ponytail. Now here's the thing. This ponytail isn't going to be all dynamic. It's not going to be like Lara Croft in the Tomb Raider games and move all over. It's going to be stuck in this position. So otherwise I would have to have other features than this software can do. So we can do that. And you get the idea. We can give her a hat. We have lots of hats. Won't bother with that. You can give eyewear. So we can give her those and make her like a musician, they call it. I don't know that I would call it that, but musician, of course. We could make her the bearded lady. We're not going to. We can give her some gloves. We'll skip that. We can give her a mask. Are you my mummy? That would be an interesting take on this particular character, who we have no plan for. And of course you can give mustaches. We don't need any of that. So now you've got your clothes defined, which is pretty straightforward. And you want to go in and start making these clothes look more like how you want. Similar to customization, you're going to do that through that texture option. So remember I showed texture and clicking on the head to change the texture for the hair. We can do that for all these elements as well. So let's say we want to change our hair color. We click on the hair. We can actually increase or decrease the texture resolution. It shows us the very basic parameters from the start. We can open up color. And let's say just recommend we want to give her blue hair. So there you go. She's now got blue hair. And click just so you can see it better. Click on that again. You can add in other things. So you can change the streaks that are in the hair. If you get enough contrast, you can see it. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to see. We'll make them slightly purple. You can change the saturation of those, lightness, darkness, etc., etc., etc. And again, most of this, I can play with some dials quick and show you, but it's going to be a lot better if you just get your hands on the software and play with it yourself. We've changed her hair. Again, If we click on the head, we can change other stuff there. We can have different textures for that as well, different resolutions. We can change the skin color. We can change the hues. You can change the amount of hue variation. If there's added beauty marks, and it will attempt to update in real time. Placement. So you can change stuff around. It's not always obvious what it's doing. So you can just do stuff there, black point, midpoints. Again, if you want to make an orc, you could. Whatever appeals to you. I'm going to cancel it out. You can put makeup on, so you can change like the lip color and stuff like that, eyeliner. The eyeliner is really dark here, and I think the glasses might be obscuring it. Yeah. Eyeshadow. Give her some eyeshadow to match her. Hair. You can kind of see it going around the edges of the glasses there. Lipstick color. Give her some purple lipstick. Don't know why. Just because. And you can do the same thing with nails. Sun effects. It's basically like getting a suntan. So you can affect how much of a tan they've got. And you can change different things there. Again, I'm not going to try and change all of these. Just play with it yourself. You can change teeth colors. You can play with the detail settings. I've never seen a whole lot in what this does, but to be honest, I haven't played with it that much. Roughness, how rough or glossy they are. In fact, I tend to think of this more in terms of gloss these days because that's really what it's affecting. So if you go up, it's more rough and less likely to have highlights. If you go down, then it's going to have more highlights and look more wet and plasticky. And when it generates textures, it actually generates these textures as gloss these days. It used to be roughness, now it's gloss. The eyes, you can change all sorts of stuff about the eyes. Colors and stains, if they're veiny, and if they have red eye, all sorts of things. You can change your eyelash color. If you have a mustache and all that, you can change that. You can crank up the normals on the hair to make certain it really stands out. You can make the body more metallic looking if you want. Make your own Terminator. So there's the hair and the skin. If we go to the jacket now, and again, I'm not going to go through on every piece of clothing because it depends upon the piece of clothing and how they've structured it, but you can see this breaks down into all these different sections. So the main fabric, which is this leather, the collar, the shirt, zipper, and so on. It's all in how they define the particular model. And so if you were to create your own content, you could break that down and define it the same way with what you thought were appropriate. Maybe you just wanted the sleeves to be able to be independently colored, or maybe you wanted to add an extra thing where you could color the bottom cotton line of the shirt or the neckline or something else. It's all in how you do it, but each one of these will have something different. But what you do is, let's say we don't want this to be synthetic leather anymore for the main fabric. We can open that up and you'll have different things down here. So if you notice, I'm hovering over them: basic plastic, rubber, nylon, spandex, sequins. There's pre-patterned fabrics you can use. So if we were to click on that, we would have that. And you can see it's got properties that go along with it. So variations. This one again had the different colors for parameters. This one does too. All that good stuff. You can make it metallic. There are different types of metals here. or it tries to. Use F. There are solid colors. So like, click on the blue, we just got a blue. There are different fabrics. So canvas, corduroy, twill, I'm not going to walk through all these, velvet, denim fabric, old wool, dirty heavy cloth, and you get the idea, old wool knit. We'll give her a corduroy jacket. Then you can of course change the colors again to be whatever you want. So we can make that a green. You can alter the size of the patterning. So if you're getting closer, you can see the scale of it changes subtly. You can, how heavy are the creases? How often do they happen? And again, roughness for the fabric. Is it a glossy fabric? Is it not? Then you can, of course, save these to be your own. So let's say you wanted to make this more of a plasticky looking thing. You could save it, give it a name, and use it again in the future. And so you can go through for each one of these. So for the shirt, standard linen, you could change that as well. We could make that sequins. She could be wearing a whole bunch of sequins. Shrink the pattern size. Oh, wrong direction. Make the pattern size larger. Go the other way. There we go. Make it look different. We'll make the base color be more of a pinkish purple. And the sequin color can be a lighter color. And again, you can see how all this works. Pattern type you can change. So a straight grid or an offset where they're not in the same line. That's defined by the substance and the dynamic properties of the substance material that gets used. And again, you can create your own substance materials, which I will do another video on in the future. Back out. So you can keep changing properties for that. Again, the same for the pants. Click on the pants. Different resolutions. You can do things like flip the normals around. Give them a slightly different look. You can change the roughness, change the scaling of the pattern in a particular area. Same thing, change colors, creases, the different fabrics. So let's say the pocket tops, we decide instead of being canvas, we're going to make those be some type of leather. Ooh, a snakeskin too. And there you've got it. You can change those colors around. You can change the modeling, change the position of the pattern on the piece, and there you go. So let's say you've got all this done. You've now created your character, and they're all set. You've looked to make certain that they look like you want them to from every angle. And you want to move on to the next step. So what do? Well, you have a couple of options. The first is that you can just save your character. So you can save the file. And we will go ahead and save it to my other current Fuse creations. Yes, you can see I have a Jacksepticeye. People who've watched my channel long enough know I like Jacksepticeye, so I actually made a model of him to use for a fan game. But in this case, we will name her our test woman, because I have no better name for her. And it'll save the basic file. You can also export as an OBJ, and you can export the individual textures so you can manipulate them elsewhere. Now if you export the model as an OBJ, of course you can pull it into other software and attempt to further manipulate it. So look at whatever software you are most comfortable with doing if you want to try that. Textures, it'll give you the output, and it's going to generate them in different forms so you can modify them. So PBRs, which you can then of course pull into Substance, a Photoshop texture that you can use and modify in Photoshop, which does a little bit of PBR now, Unity, Unreal Engine 4 textures, and so on. So next, let's look at what we do to rig our character and let it go up. So we have our character, and we're ready to rig her so we can use her in our game, which means we need to actually give this model a skeleton that is rigged and ready to add animations to. So what we're going to do then is we're going to actually save it to Mixamo. You can also go to File and Animate with Mixamo. That's really the same result. And when you click on this, you're going to have to save the character, give it a name. We'll go ahead and stick with Test Woman. And we'll upload it to the Mixamo website. And it knows my account information, so I don't have to log that in, otherwise you would have to do that. And once it's uploaded there, it will do what's an auto rig. So once it's up, it starts doing the rigging in the background. You don't actually have to do any special things here. And when it's ready, it will show your character that you've designed in here. So there we see it's finally loading. And there's our character. Now there are a couple things you need to note here. The first, facial blend shapes are actually morph targets. So if you have software to manipulate your skeleton after it's created to animate morph targets, you would want to leave those turned on. If you don't, you'd probably want to turn those off. I'm going to leave them on. I do that out of habit just because I never know what software I'm going to use, and why not leave them intact. Your level of detail, you can actually make different versions. I always just stick with the standard skeleton. I don't see any reason to change that. When you're done, click Finish. And it will tell you auto rigging is complete in the software you can use that it defaults to supporting. You can then either just view it in your assets or click on Animate. We'll click on Animate. And it'll pull your character up here, and you'll have lots of animations you can apply. Now, currently, these are free during the preview period. Don't know what they're going to cost when it's done, but for now, you can grab an animation, and the animations have different things. You can slow it down, you can change arm spacing, you can cut frames from it, you can mirror it, so it just flips the model around. For certain ones, you can do in place or root motion. And again, won't walk through all these, but you can see all the different ones that they have. And they have a large selection currently of all sorts of different ones for different reasons. So what you do is you could add them to a pack to purchase eventually, or right now just add them one at a time to your assets. We're going to go ahead and we're going to choose one so we can show you how to import the animation later. So let's find something fun for her. Oh, what do we got here? Oh, boxing. Okay. Click on Add to your assets, and again, you can change things here. You can change. All right, where the target is. Is it a fast punch? And so on. I click on Add to my assets. It'll add it. Now if you go to My Assets, you'll be able to see things. So I don't know what's up with thumbnail processing for new characters. It seems to have an issue at the moment. But you can click on Test Woman. And so there's your character in T-pose. And what you're going to need to do is ultimately download these to use them in Unreal Engine. So once you have all the animations you want, once you have become happy with how your character is ready to go, then you're going to move on. You're going to import it into Unreal Engine. So the Mixamo part is actually pretty straightforward and easy. It's just a matter of how much longer it's going to remain free and what it's ultimately going to cost when it's all done. So you've got your character ready to go. It's very straightforward. You're going to click on Queue Download. And you'll want to choose FBX for Unreal Engine 4. Now, that sounds like it's going to be perfect and ideal, and it's pretty close to what you need, but it's not quite right, as you're going to find out. And you want T-pose. Do not choose original pose FBX because it will fail. In fact, the file will act as corrupted. So leave it as T-pose. And you're going to go ahead and queue your download. I'll sit here and it'll process for a little bit. And then you can go ahead and download it. And just for now, we will go ahead and save ours into temp files. So we can download that. And then you're done with the website for the moment until you come back to add animations. So we'll come back to this in a little while. So you've got it down. Now you're going to put it on Unreal Engine. And I've created a project called Fuse CC. Or actually Fuse. Don't ask me how I managed to get a C instead of an S, but either way. And what we're going to do is we are going to import it. Now I've created a folder already called Fuse Characters. And we'll go on there and we're going to import our test woman into this folder. And the reason why I chose the third person view is just so it's easier to see her right off the bat. So we're going to click on import. And then you have to find the folder she's in. So that's back in our temp files. And I just realized I never opened that. So let's go to E and temp files. And our test woman here. And let's extract to test woman. There we go. So now our test woman shows up. You want to click on testwoman.fbx. On open. And it'll start importing. And the nice part is you don't have to do a lot of changes to make this work. So you're going to import a skeletal, so leave that as it is. You're going to want to import the mesh. You're going to create a new skeleton that is specific to that character. Now, if you really wanted to, you could attempt to import and match it to the UE4 mannequin skeleton or whatever's in there right away. I wouldn't recommend that. I'd recommend retargeting animations unless your character is the same proportional build and height and everything else, because otherwise it's not going to look right depending upon the character. Because it won't have a skeleton that matches the proportions that it needs to. So you'll pull that in. You don't want to update anything else. If you want to pull in those morph targets, you would click on this. And it's going to extend your importing time quite a bit to do that. But I want to show you how this works, so I'm going ahead and do that. And we don't actually have any real animations at the moment, but we can leave that as it is. Go ahead and click import or import all. I'm just going to click import. Actually import all. That will get the materials and the textures. And I will come back once everything is imported. Okay, so it is imported now. And to give you an idea of the time that it took for that import to happen, that was about 6.5 minutes. Whereas ordinarily it takes about a minute at most. But now we've got it in. It's going to compile the shaders here. You won't see anything yet. And if you were to open up our test woman, and look at the skeleton, you can see it there. And we'll let it finish compiling here so you can see the issue that currently exists with the way it generates characters. Okay, so all the shaders have happened, and you see what's going on here. So there are some obvious issues with how the materials have been generated. So we're going to have to fix that before we do anything else. And you've got all these different things, and they're generated in such a way that they import wrong. Additionally, one of the issues with Fuse that has existed even in the older version is that it doesn't actually import all of the files at once. So we have to go back to import, and under this textures folder you have all these gloss textures. That's the roughness. So you need to grab all those and import those as well. After you've done that, the next step to try and get things on track is we have to change the properties of the gloss and the specular. So find all the specular ones. So I'm going to hold down Control, and I'm going to click all the specular textures. Okay, we've got all those done. Then we're going to right-click on one. We're going to go to Asset Actions, and we're going to choose Bulk Edit via Property Matrix, because we actually have to change the nature of these textures. So you've got them all up here, and you can see they're all marked as being sRGB. We actually need to change that. Now you can go through and you can individually uncheck all these, but you can also just go over to Texture on the right side, open it up, click sRGB, and it'll change them all for you. And then we'll save all of that. Close that out. Then the next thing we need to do is actually fix our materials. So right now all the materials have loaded up as translucent, which is a significant problem. So let's start with body material, and we'll go through, and there are a couple tweaks we have to make when we do eyelashes and hair and eyewear. So we'll do those as we go. So let's open up body material, and you can see all the things that are plugged into it currently. And right now, for instance, our specular, this is gray because we actually need to change this. This is now needs to be a linear color. And then we need to actually add our roughness. So we can go in and we can hold down T and click, and that generates a texture sample for that. We will plug that into roughness. We will find the roughness for the body material. So body gloss, because it's no longer called roughness, it's called gloss. So we've got that, and of course you see that these are still grayed out because translucent materials aren't using that. So we need to actually click in the open space here to get the material properties, and we'll change our blend mode from translucent to opaque. And then we can save that. And that one's done. We'll go to our eyelash material. Now our eyelashes will stay translucent, but there's still a couple changes we need to make. So all we're going to do here is we are going to first, even though we don't use this, just to stay consistent, we'll change that to linear color. And hold down our T and click. Pull that into roughness. I don't remember if there is a material generated for eyelashes or not, so we're going to take a look. Yeah, there's one for eyewear, but not for eyeglasses, so we actually don't need this one. We'll delete that. We want to make it two-sided, and that's it. And now what I do, I click save last time, but what I actually prefer to do is just click this, and then I'll save them all at the end. So would you like to apply changes to this material, to the original material? Yes. We'll do bottom material the same way we did top material. So again, we'll pull all these over. You don't have to do that. I just like to have them all on that side. We change this to linear color. Hold down T and click. Pull that over into roughness. We are looking at the bottom material, so we need the bottom gloss. Click in the open area, change it to opaque. We can click that. Yes, we want to apply it. And move on to eyewear material. Open our eyewear material. And that's one of the reasons why I chose eyewear, so you can see that you'd have to change this as well. So we'll do all this. Once again, linear color. Hold down T. And this will be our eyewear gloss. And then you can have this translucent. You can also have this as masked. Try it both ways, see which way appeals best to you. Again, make it a two-sided material. I'm actually going to leave it as translucent. We'll close that out. Yes, we'll go ahead and apply that. Hair material is the last one we have to do anything special to here at the moment. So we'll open that up. Once again, get all these in place so they're the way I like them. Click on that texture sample that's plugged into specular, change it to linear color, hold down T, get another texture sample in there, plug it into roughness, and change that to hair gloss. In this case, we're going to use masked instead of translucent, because our hair isn't translucent, and two-sided. Oops. And I guess I'll click save this time instead of going up here. Lost in thought. So we'll close that out. Now for the other ones we do them as opaque. So shoe material. Once again, we change the specular to be a linear color. Add our texture sample, the roughness. In this case, it is our shoe gloss. And then our overall material is going to be opaque. We'll save that. Now look to see if there's any more top material. Once again, it's going to be opaque, so we'll pull that over, and that over, and this over. There. Change our specular to linear color. Add our texture sample for gloss. Plug it into roughness. So our top gloss. And then for our material, we're going to be opaque. We'll save that one off. And we'll just save them all to play it safe. And if we go back into our skeleton now, you can see that she looks much more normal. So the eyeglasses are there. The jacket and all that looks right. Everything's set. Now, again, we don't have anything set that's going to use morph targets at the moment, but I just want to show you these really quick. The blend spaces allow us to do things. Now it's going to recompile because, as you can see here, the materials have to be saved to support morph targets. We're going to have to wait a bit for this to go. Since it's going to have to recalculate anyway, we're just going to do something else. Let's find our mouth here, and let's open up her mouth a little bit. So you can see as I adjust this, it adjusts the morph targets for her mouth. Now again, you would have to make very specific animations and things to work with this. We don't have tools within Unreal Engine that allow you to really define those animations and such. Now she looks like she has lazy eye, but you can blink her eye. Nose scrunch. All sorts of stuff. So, if you have an interest in that, play with it. Find animation software that can support making those animations, and you can do stuff with that. We're going to go ahead and save this. And now, for all intents and purposes, he's all set. So we can save all of our stuff again. And we're just going to drag her out there. So we drag her out, and we'll click play in the game. You can see she's there. She's stuck in T-pose at the moment because she has no animations. But she's there. Of course, if we zoom in out here, you can get in close, you can see everything as well. Okay, so we have our character in, but we need to bring her to life. We need to be able to give her some animation. Just save all again, and let's go grab an animation. So now we have our character out there, and we are ready to bring her to life. We want to bring in some animations. And if you remember, we created a boxing animation earlier. But before we do that, let's do some really quick cleanup. Let's open this up. Let's create a couple of new folders. So we're going to create one called Materials and Textures, just to get this stuff out of the way. And we'll create another one called Animations, which we'll bring our new animations into. So let's take all of these that aren't core to the character, and let's move those to the Materials and Textures folder. Oops, missed that one. Okay, so we have just those there. Let's go into our animations, and let's prepare to bring in an animation. So we have to go back to the Mixamo website, and up on the Mixamo website, if you remember, we have our characters, and if we want to easily do it, we can go to Test Woman and find animations that are for our character, or just grab new ones from here. But we actually already have, under My Assets, the My Animations tab. So we click on that, and you can see it's already generated here. So we'll click on there. We need to queue a download, and you can do this FBX for Unreal Engine 4. Sometimes it pops up with this one. You can change it to FBX for Unreal Engine 4. There's one change you want to make. Since you're just going to import an animation, you don't want the skin. So we're going to change that to without skin, and we'll queue our download. Again, just like the character, it has the process. Then when it's ready, we can click on download. We're going to save in that same temp files location for the moment. So we'll save it there. And then we're going to show it in the folder so we can unzip it. We'll extract it to boxing so it's ready for us there. And then back within our Unreal project, we can now import this into the animations folder. So we click on import. You find that boxing folder, boxing FBX. You click on open. You'll see we don't have the skeletal or mesh options now. You want to choose the skeleton you're importing this animation for. It's already set for the Test Woman skeleton, so we're going to choose that. And you don't really have to change anything else unless you want to. Unless you're doing something that's going to rewrite your morph targets, you don't need to leave this. You can just leave, you don't need to change this, just leave this alone. Your local transformations, we aren't affecting that. We aren't changing the sample rate. So pretty much just set the skeleton and then click import. You'll see it imports nice and quick. If we double click on it, it's already set up on our skeleton and functional. We can close that out again. Go ahead and save all. Now if we click on our figure here and we go to change this, so this is normally animation blueprint. I was testing quick before I started this. We need to change it to animation asset because we don't have a blueprint for her yet. You'll notice it doesn't have it here. And that's something that I've noticed, and it seems to be a bug because it is the right skeleton. Again, you open it, you see it there. So you have to remove her and re-add her. So we'll drag her back out there again. And then we can go and change this back to animation asset. And now you'll see the animation sequence shows up. Annoying little bug, but it's a bug. Save that all. Now if we click play, you can see she's off and running. She's ready to beat the crap out of me. Ow! Right in the crotch. So there you go. That's how you would import a Mixamo animation into your project. That's pretty straightforward. And again, lots of free animations at the moment, so go up and play around and rig up your characters while you can. Now there's one more scenario for us to look at, and that is using a non-Mixamo animation with our character. So for this, I'm going to add the animation starter pack from Unreal. I'm not going to show that at the moment. I'm just going to do it and then I'll come back. Okay. So now I've added the animation starter pack to our package. And we will want to do some retargeting to make this work. So what we're going to have to do is first we have to get both these set up for retargeting options. We'll start with the animation starter pack. We'll go in here, we will find the skeleton. Section your mannequin. Okay, so the skeleton. We'll pull this up. Now, we really want to make this have a T-pose because the Mixamo characters excuse me, because the Mixamo characters are in T-pose. And so if we do it like this, they're not going to look right when the animation is applied. Now I actually have another video that was part of a series on this. So if you've watched that series, this is going to be duplicative for you, and you probably don't need to watch this part of the video. Just a warning. But for those who haven't seen that, we're going to go ahead and walk through it again. I'm losing my voice. So we need to click on skeleton. That brings us to our skeleton. Then we need to adjust stuff. So what you're going to do is first you're going to get the skeleton back in the T-pose as best you can. And basically that's just straightening everything out. And in some cases, for instance like this lower arm, you actually have to straighten it out front to back as well. We're going to get a little closer here. We'll straighten out the hand. I find it easier to click on the left most of the time. So we'll straighten that out. And then for each of the O1, so index O1, middle O1, pinky O1, and such, I find it easier to just click on the O1s. You don't need to do the rest, just the O1s for each finger, and move it to -20. And that seems to work out pretty well. Same for the thumb. Okay, then you want to do the same on the other side. Make that as straight as we can. Lower arm. Once. Straighten that out. And then the hand. and then again each of the fingers. In this case, you're going to go to 20 because it's the opposite hand. So to minus 20. Okay, we get all of that done. Move out a little bit. And you want to make certain I'm doing this right. You want to update the reference pose based on this mesh. Set that as the default. Then you're going to click on Retarget Manager. And where you're retargeting is this rig to the humanoid rig, so select humanoid rig. And if you need to, you would change these to match whatever it is here. But one nice thing, in the past you had to do all this for Mixamo characters, but with the current version they've actually already renamed everything. So you don't really need to do this. So you see index 01 is already matching, so the rig matches the Unreal skeleton already. So you don't have to do that. Save that pose. Here it is then. View pose. Okay, so there we go. Save that. That should be all it takes there. And then we have to do the same thing for our Mixamo character. So let's go to our Fuse character here. Test woman. Open up her skeleton. We are going to click on the Retarget Manager. And before we were dealing with the Unreal Starter Kit mannequin. Now we are, whoops, stop it. I hate when it does that. I don't want to attach you to anything. Stop. So annoying. There we go. So here's our source. Again, we're going to rig to the humanoid rig. And you can see that all these match up. If we show advanced, they all still match up. We don't have to change anything. If you pop it open, you can just see that that's the case. So again, we'll save our pose. And we are all set there. I always like to do a save all. We close that out. Now let's find an animation in the starter pack that we want to use. So let's just find something idle here. Is there any sort of idle that's just really idle for standing around? Doesn't really look like it. So I'll just go idle with a pistol to be different. We'll right click on that. We are going to retarget an animation asset, so duplicate anim assets and retarget. You'll notice our test woman skeleton is now an option, and our source skeleton is matching. So we'll do that. We'll click on retarget. And we now have a retargeted one for our character. We will move that over into our animations folder. And if we open that up, you can now see it applied to our character. So that's all very straightforward. And you might have to make some adjustments. Again, you notice that the wrists are slightly off and such, so you might want to go back and change your base target, because I believe she's supposed to be holding her wrist. The other thing you can do is you can find the animation for it here. And you might be able to make some changes. That is the right one or the wrong one? That is the right one, so you can always attempt to save some changes to make it work correctly for your character. And then, of course, go back into your animation accent, make certain she's selected, change to idle pistol, and save. And yeah, that's still off. I didn't save the animation right, but there you go. And rather than trying to adjust each individual animation, I would go back and work on changing the base skeleton, get it retargeted to how you need, and then come back in here for this. But that's how easy it is. That's how you get the external animations to work with your Mixamo characters. If you enjoyed this tutorial and found it helpful, please click the like button. If you are not currently a subscriber, please consider subscribing. You can find more information on mindless pursuits and other tutorials at these links. As always, thank you for all of your interest and support. Take care.